Welcome to the Real Photo Show. My guest today is Kai McBride, and you may remember Kai as my longtime co-host here on the early days of Real Photo Show. We have a fantastic time catching up. I thought it'd be a nice way to close out the year. But before we get to that conversation, this podcast is sponsored by the Charcoal Book Club. Begin building or continue to build your dream photo book library at charcoalbookclub.com. With each book, you do get some lovely curated notes, a printed photo from the book itself, and of course the book. And this is Rory King's Gumsucker, a beautifully made book published by Charcoal Press. The book is also signed. All right, so visit charcoalbookclub.com today. I did post an Instagram reel about the book if you want to check that out at Real Photo Show. But yeah, charcoalbookclub.com. Become a member today. So Kai and I have a fantastic conversation where we talk about how living off-grid and thinking about resources has affected his practice, how he has sort of stayed in the photo world, figured out how to make a living away from Brooklyn, and it's really just a wonderful catch-up, a wonderful conversation. I also want to thank all of you and wish you a happy new year for listening to the show this past year, watching me do this transition to video and seeing my face more than I'm used to on the podcast. But I think it's a great way to, change things up and keep things interesting. You get to see the guests. We get to hold things up in front of you. So I'll be working on that more in the new year. So Happy New Year again. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the show, and we will see each other and talk soon. Kai McBride, nice to see you.
Hi, Michael. Great to be here.
Yeah. I guess we keep in touch a little bit through messages and social media and all that. But it's been a while since we've actually sat down and spoken. And I thought, instead of us just having a lovely personal conversation, why not make content out of it?
Milk it. Yeah. Nice.
But really,
yeah, that's how I know you care.
That's right. That's right. This is how people know I care. But I thought this would be a nice year-end kind of catch-up. You were so much a part of the show early on. How many, was it 3 years or I don't know?
Boy,
I've lost track.
I would have to look back to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a while. Yeah.
It was a while. Yeah. So, and then,
And wait, do you still use the intro music too?
I have, I think I'm on my third generation of intro music, and it is played by my son, Mateo, with his music instructor that he had a few years ago. Well, actually,
amazing.
Last year. Yeah. Yep. And now he's thinking about a new band, and I want to maybe commission a new song, a new intro.
Oh, great. Yeah. But yeah, Giancarlo Roman.
Yes, and you did.
Intro.
That was the intro for the longest time, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So, Kai McBride, I thought, also because we have probably a bunch of new listeners since last you were on, this would be a nice time to catch up with you. And you're one of the most sort of interesting, you lead one of the most interesting lives that I know right now.
Okay.
So this is from Strudel Media, your bio. And I think you co-wrote it or wrote it. Is that right?
I wrote it. I totally wrote
okay.
It. Yeah.
I love the way it's written, though. It's Kai McBride is a photographer, musician, teacher, and avid cyclist who recently uprooted from Brooklyn to sunny Santa Fe, New Mexico. Not so much recent anymore, right? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I do have a more updated one maybe on my website.
But
still, whatever. Recent enough.
He spent the last 10 years teaching photography and managing the photo facilities at Columbia University, his alma mater, where he received his MFA. Born on the island of Kauai in 1972, by his 18th birthday, Kai had lived in California, Oregon, Mississippi, Wisconsin, Texas, Oahu, North Carolina, and Massachusetts. He sharpened his powers of observation while adjusting to life between suburban ranch-style homes, cabins with no running water, and a 20-foot teepee in the field of a commune. His photographs
Mm.
have been exhibited in museum and gallery exhibitions, held in public private collections. His first monograph about face picturing Tampa was published by SPQR Editions in fall of 2016. By the way, I still show that book to my class.
Oh, thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when I have an assignment called photographing place,
Mm.
and it's just really about observing and trying to find a connection to a place, and that's a great book to show. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, no lies in that bio, so that's good.
that's right. And Strudel Media is actually a nice connection
Mm.
too. Anya Hitzenberger was a guest on the show, and she was looking
Mhm.
for people to join this online instruction that she was starting, and you have taken off with it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was a great connection. So definitely have you to thank for that. I mean, she was looking for someone to teach black and white, and
Yep.
I've certainly taught a lot of black and white classes for her over the years. I think the
Exactly.
last 5 years, but I've also expanded into teaching sequencing classes and just classes with prompts and recipes and all kinds of stuff. So
I went
yeah.
online just to see what was going on, and you had a class there that was sold out.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I've got a good online following now, I guess, because I've taught so many classes for her. There's a core group of people that if it's a new class, even a class maybe they've taken before, but it's been several years, they'll sign up pretty quickly. So yeah, that's really nice. It's nice, and I've known some of those people I met in person. So we kind of bridged the after meeting on Zoom for years, teaching these classes. They came out last year. Anya and I did a workshop here in Santa Fe, but more of a retreat. And so we had a group of them come out, and we spent 3 or 4 days photographing with them, and that was really amazing to actually meet people that you only virtually got to know and see them in person, and we had a great time.
Yeah, that's really nice, and it fit, the kind of change in life you had, and I just want
Mm.
to. I know we've talked about it before, but I think it'd be great to catch up and see where you are now. Let's talk about your move from Brooklyn to Santa Fe.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, people often ask why Santa Fe, and I used to come out here to visit my father. He was living here, sadly passed away a year before I moved out here, but I used to come out here and visit him. And I mean, of course, I think Santa Fe is a famous city, even worldwide. People hear of Santa Fe, but not everyone's actually come here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never experienced the high desert before, this idea of being high elevation, but also in the arid climate and the thin atmosphere and all that. And I instantly took to it, and I love the area. And where I am sitting right now is on some land that the very first time I came out here, I think it was 12 years ago, he and I came out here and were working on something he was building. And yeah, I fell for the place. And now when I was ready to leave New York and come out here, and I was offered to be able to build on this land that's out here. And that's what I wound up doing. So I built the cabin that I live in is 14 by 16 with another 14 by 16 porch on it, and I built it mostly myself, and then my girlfriend slash life partner, all these terms we use these days. She was in grad school, but started coming to help me out on the weekends and then over the summers, and so we really finished it together. And now the building I'm sitting in right this moment is our studio, which we built this year. We could talk about that more later. But it was a real shift. I mean, everyone knows what life in Brooklyn must be like, or at least in New York or a big city. And out here is completely different. First of all, we're off grid. There's no power lines anywhere near us. So totally off grid. We're high up on this mesa east of Santa Fe. It's like a 25-minute drive into town, and on a dirt road, or 3.5 miles down a dirt road. And because of the height of the mesa top that we're on, people have tried drilling wells, but they usually don't get water, or if they get water, it's got arsenic and other stuff in
Mm.
it because of the nature of the geology around here. So all of our water just comes from captured rainwater on the roof of the cabin into a 1,800-gallon tank, and that's our water supply. And solar panels and lithium iron phosphate batteries for power. And yeah, that's it. And so everything I designed and built from scratch: the solar system, the water system, all the plumbing, electrical, you name it. So it was been a real that's taken a lot of my creative energy, is just figuring out how to make a life out here and get all of this going.
Yeah, and you've named your home Atraxia?
Ataraxia,
Ataraxia.
ataraxia. Yeah,
Ataraxia, that's it.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't have it. Oh, no, I don't have anything
It
with it on
means
it.
calmness, or
Well, that's one version. So
okay.
here's a rubber stamp. I don't know if you
There it
guys will be able to
is.
see that. There it is.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a rubber stamp. So I had been reading a lot of I read a lot of different philosophy books, and none of them really struck a chord with me. Either they were too like going up to a higher power, faith based, or they were just too nihilistic or something. But the one philosophy that really struck a chord with me was Stoicism, and not sort of like the generic term that people think, oh, a Stoic just means you take it on the
Hmm.
chin or something, but this real like the real going back to this the Stoics, and they use this term ataraxia, which I think they actually take from an earlier group of philosophers, but their meaning of it was basically just to have a calm sense of mind despite all of the things that are going on, like all of the chaos around you, that you know, just manage to keep sort of a calmness in the middle of it. So I think of this place as sort of like this little calm bubble, which is even seems even more telling right now, and the way the world is right at this moment is having this sort of like calm space to be in and hang out in.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk more about what you've been doing in terms of creating a blog, new blog website,
Mm.
and how your social media participation has evolved over the years. But you do
Mhm.
maintain the Stoic Shack Instagram account, and
Yeah.
that has been a record document of all these construction projects. And people who know you know how capable you were before all of this in terms
Mm.
of knowing how to do electronics and early digital computer work and construction projects and building cameras and everything else.
Mm.
uh, but it's kind of exploded with what you've been learning and doing with building your
Mm.
own off-grid shelters, right?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I built on top of skills that I built up over the years for different purposes, but like I always try to remember when I had my Brooklyn apartment, I had if I wanted to cut a piece of wood or something for a shelf or whatever, I would pull out a kitchen drawer and clamp on a tiny little vise, and I'd sit there with a Japanese saw and collect the sawdust in the
That's
kitchen
right.
drawer and then dump it out. So I didn't, though you were limited. You were limited
Yeah.
by what you could do. But out here, I have a shop, and so it expands the possibilities. The having the tools and having, and of course, the necessity of like, okay,
Hmm.
so not to tell too much of a story of the background of this, but people often come up here and they're like, wow, you and Corn, my girlfriend, you guys really live like this. There must be a lot of sacrifices to live out here off grid and all this stuff. But the story we like to tell is how when we first came out, the last summer before we moved into the cabin, we were literally camping out in a tent on a platform next to the cabin.
Hmm.
And then when the solar got connected up, we could stop bringing ice out in a cooler, and we could have a little refrigerator. Like, ooh, now it feels like an upgrade. And the first year, we didn't have running water in the cabin. We
Hmm.
just carried water in 6-gallon containers from this tank. And so and even then, we didn't have a drain. We'd have to like open up the door and throw water out from the sink, because it didn't drain yet. And so then when we got the gray water systems, like, wow, we can pour the dishwater down a drain. It's amazing. And then we got running water, and then we got hot water. And so every
Hmm.
little step and increment towards quote unquote civilization has felt monumental. And so it doesn't feel like a sacrifice. It always feels like, oh wow, this place is getting more
It
and
sounds like
more, cozy.
you're progressing every time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So from being in a tent with a little 2 burner propane cook stove, that you take on a camping trip, to now being, oh, I just push a button and the heater comes on. It feels, yeah, it feels, doesn't feel like a sacrifice, I
Yeah, I
guess.
mean, and I remember how exciting it was when you were baking bread in your solar oven, which I think you still do
Mhm.
on occasion, right?
Yeah, we still use
Yeah,
that solar oven quite a
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
I bake a lot of bread now. And we have a little, like a little oven that came out of an
Yes.
RV that I on the porch that I use, but
Yep.
because you can get up to 450 versus 350 in the solar
Right.
oven, so you get a better crust. But yeah, absolutely. It's incredible. So I think the privileged part of where we are in the country is that New Mexico gets so much sun, and the sun is very strong here. So, if you're trying to do this in the Pacific Northwest or something, you wouldn't have enough solar power. But
Right.
here, the batteries are full by,
All the time, right?
in the summer, they're full by like 10 in the morning or something. So then, yeah, it's not a big
Well,
deal.
I think what surprised me, I've only been to Santa Fe once, and we didn't even touch upon Santa Fe not only has a rich historical history for this country, but also for photography
Mm.
as well.
Yeah.
But I was surprised by how much snow and rain you do get. I mean, especially
Mm.
snow in the
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah.
It's a surprising amount of snow. There
Yeah.
have been winters where you've gotten way more snow than we have in New Jersey.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we're up at 7,100 feet, so
Hmm.
we're pretty high up, and that means we do get snow. Although because of the strength of the sun again, the
It
snow
melts.
doesn't linger; it's
Yeah.
gone. It's like, oh wow, the snow is here, and a couple days later, it's only in the shadows. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
so, yeah.
absolutely. But can you I mean, clearly this ad, this adventurous sort of energy you have where you're willing to just sort of start all over again, really from scratch in a lot of ways, I would imagine comes from this life you had of constantly moving and living in a commune and all that. Can you make that connection a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think the longest I ever lived anywhere was New York City, and I lived there not even contiguously, but 17 years is what I wound up saying. And the longest I lived in any single location was my last apartment in Brooklyn for 11 years. I never lived anywhere that long. So yeah, it was always moving. And if I look back even on my adult life, I can break things down into sort of like 10-year segments where after 10 years, suddenly everything shifted and I left Boston and I moved to New York, or I did this and I did that. And so I think there was a little bit of it. I don't know if it's a restless spirit or if it's just a feeling like, oh, that's one thing you can do. We moved from uh, to move from Wisconsin to Texas is a big change, obviously. And to move from Oregon to or back to Hawaii or to North Carolina. It's not just like, oh, we moved to the next town over. We made big jumps. Mostly it was my mother and I primarily.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I feel it feels somewhat normal. I mean, doesn't feel as, I think some people, people who still live either close to where they went to college or they still live close to where their family is. And also, my family didn't always stay in the same spot. They kept moving around too. So it's like movable, pieces on a board. And so I didn't identify so much as like, oh, this is home, and I'm always going to maybe go back there. In fact, Kauai, where I was born, I used to go back repeatedly and visit my grandmother there when she was still there, and that felt like a place I could go and feel like home. But her house got blown over by a hurricane in 1991, Hurricane Iniki, and I went once to help her move away from Kauai. She moved to North Carolina, and I haven't been back since. So it's
Mm.
like, all right, that was a big part of my childhood, but it's no longer a place I can go back to and have that connection to.
Yeah, yeah. And then you meet Corn Wagon Thunder out there, as you mentioned earlier.
Hmm.
And does Corn have a similar sort of adventurous spirit and background, or
I mean, she must have some of it because she's living here, but
that's right?
but her family is much more. So she was also so we overlap in a couple spots.
Hmm.
Where my mother lives in North Carolina right now, Corn grew up about an hour and 15 minutes from where my mother is
Mm.
now. So but her family is very tied to Western North Carolina, and
Mm.
they have been there for generations. And she grew up with the situation of she lived in the house that her father built. Her grandparents lived directly next door. Her uncle lived the next house over. So she was much
Oh
more
wow.
about being in one spot and being
Yeah.
surrounded by family. And so in that sense, our upbringing was very different. But she wanted to escape. So she's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here. And she went away to college, which is where we first met. We first met in Boston at the museum school when we were in our 20s. She was going out with another photographer friend of mine. And so I briefly knew her. And then we hadn't seen each other in over 25 years or something, but she came out to go to grad school. But in that period of time, I think she longed for this kind of a not to be in the city, but be more in the country. And so we started following each other on Instagram when she got into grad school here in UNM in Albuquerque. She saw I was building a cabin. She saw that I had a four-wheel drive truck, and she's like, this, this might work out. So yeah, she started making plans. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So now, how many years have you been in Santa Fe?
Moved out in 2019. So it was
Hmm.
July of 2019 before the pandemic. So that was
Mm.
kind of nice in the sense
Yeah.
that what it wasn't so long after I got here, all obviously, and that all happened, and people were stuck in their apartments, and I was out here, and social distancing isn't a problem when there's
No.
nobody for a long time. So yeah, it's been 6 years or about 6.5 years now. It's kind of
Hmm.
wild actually to see how
I
things have
know.
changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And in that time you've taught, you I know for a while you were um on Instagram with your own account,
Mhm.
posting work there. And then not too long ago, you decided you wanted to leave your personal account. You wanted to close on Instagram, and I know you also post on Blue Sky as well as I
Mhm.
do, which is clearly a much less active place for
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
Just pretty active, but
Yeah.
not that active. And yeah,
I
so
know.
yeah, talk about that evolution that we've all
Sure.
been going through with social media.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I would say that I was a bit of a late adopter. So when I was teaching at Columbia, a lot of the grad students were crazy about Instagram, and
Hmm.
like how it is when everyone's like, "This is the new thing, and every photographer should be on here, and it's going to be amazing for XYZ reasons." And in my mind at the time, I mean, this is early Instagram where everything was still square, and it was really just about putting the filters on stuff, like,
Yeah,
hey, make it look like a Polaroid or
Polaroid.
whatever. And I
Yep.
was just like, this is so dumb. But like a lot of people, but like for a lot of people, had to create a account for Columbia for the photo department, and then I got sucked in, right? And so
Yep.
then, of course, a lot of friends were on and all that kind of stuff. And I think that was maybe the golden age for, as my mind to it. And then for the last couple of years, as the algorithm started taking over more, and then I was seeing when I would go on, it was either there'd be these glitches where there'd be like a couple of weeks where all you were seeing were advertisements and almost no posts from anybody you knew, or it was all the Instagram reels and all that stuff, and again, less of content from people you followed and more from suggested accounts and all that stuff. And then I realized I was definitely getting sucked in. I mean, you would sit there and those reels go by so quickly, and like
Oh yeah.
between this and that, and whatever. And next thing you know, like every time you pick up your phone to go check to see if someone liked it or whatever,
Yes.
and then you just get sucked into it. So that I thought was already a problem.
Hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, politically, I did quit, and I quit my personal account last year, just in
Hmm.
January, and just seeing everybody suck up to the new administration, and everything, and like all those social media guys all just showing up for the inauguration. I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
also gross. But it was really, I mean, yes, I'm not like I didn't do it on principles like I'm quitting because these people. It was more just because the whole experience was awful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Blue Sky, on the other hand, is not driven by the algorithm, right? And it's in fact,
Hmm.
if you want to, you'll only see the posts by people that you follow. And there's a double-edged sword to that. On the one hand, it's not as entertaining because you go and maybe the same five people are the only people that
Yeah.
have posted stuff. Like Andy Adams from Flack Photo is always he's like you can rely on him. Some place that people like Kopke who have their own blog, they
Hmm.
post stuff all the time. So there's like new fresh content. But I did see that there were when I just went back through all the people I followed on Blue Sky, I noticed that a lot of people hadn't posted for 4 to 6 months. Like, I think there's a big move, like, okay, we've got to get away from Instagram
And
and go
then
to
it's
something
yeah,
fresh. And then they realize, oh, it's more work,
the
or
engagement
it's
isn't there, or
yeah,
right.
it's not as
Yeah. Yeah.
fun. It's
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
where's the reels
Yep.
of the puppies or the sexy ladies in bikinis doing something? It's like what? And
Yeah.
so I'm still hopeful, but here's the one thing that I'll say about it. regardless of everything else, is the one thing that I really like about Blue Sky versus Instagram is this ability to post on it from outside things, right? So Instagram makes it very difficult if you want to post to something you did somewhere else, or if you want to link to some website or whatever. It's go to the link in my bio to
Yeah,
click
yeah, yeah.
through. It's ridiculous. Whereas Blue Sky, yeah, you just post on, and so because of that, more people are posting from their own personal websites or their personal blog, which helps you go off the platform and see what else
Right.
they're doing. And it encouraged me to, you hinted at it earlier, to,
Yeah, let's get to that. Yeah.
yeah, it encouraged me. I was like, you know what, I want to do that too. I'd rather make these kind of posts on a platform that I control that can go out other places. I know you have the website for this as well, and it's really been great. So instead of just having like a dead portfolio site that I rarely to never
Mm-hmm.
updated, my new idea is to use it more dynamically, where I can post fresh things that I'm doing on my own website, and I can then push that to Blue Sky or somewhere else to hopefully, get people to come back and see the site and see other things.
It's a little
But
bit going back to a photo blogger style, right?
exactly, yeah,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I think was interesting, and I think that was the promise of Instagram was, oh, you'll post up there and with a comment,
Right.
and then people will see it. Which can still happen, but let's be honest, doesn't happen nearly as much, and it's very controlled. You have to like
And you have to
match
put
their
music to
format.
everything to get higher on the algorithm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very much, and also I would say I was just reading about this recently somewhere. Gosh, now I forgot where, but this idea that the other insidious thing that happens is, and maybe it's a human trait where you want to please the algorithm in a way, or you start thinking in terms of posts, and you start thinking of, oh, this would make a good Instagram post, or this, oh, this,
Yeah.
well, people will like this, I better, or even just like, instead of just doing it, you're like, oh shoot, I better like get a picture of this or do whatever. I don't know. There's something a little insidious about that, where you start thinking in terms of feeding the
Oh,
algorithm,
absolutely. Yeah.
and so it took a while for that to go away. When I quit Instagram, there was still that, like,
Like, all
"Ugh,
right. Oh, look what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I got it. And I'm not just talking about the pictures of your breakfast and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but other things. You're like, oh wow, this is
Yep.
interesting or profound, and this could. Oh, if I could get a good picture of this, I can make a good post of it. And you're like,
And no,
get
it's
that out of
true.
your
It's
head.
true. I still feel it. I still participate at times in it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But but in terms of what you have been posting,
Hmm.
yeah, let's talk about some of that. You'll post maybe a photo or two, and you give a little sort of background context to it, right?
Yeah, I figured that would be interesting. And I must say, this is all very fresh. I mean, I redid
I
the
know.
website last
Yeah.
month. So if people are watching this and they go over to my website, they're not going to have like 4 hours of reading. It's like there's very few things there. But
HiMcBride.com. Yes.
yeah, thank you. But I'm setting it up. And so the other
Right.
part of it that I'm really excited about, let me grab a print here,
Yeah.
is I'm excited about this thing I'm calling
Yes.
uh, lo-fi printing. That's the term I'm going for, which is, and it ties in with the website and this idea that you could make lo-fi, low fidelity prints from your hi-fi digital files. And just to be able to see something, right? So here's a little that's just
Mm-hmm.
made with a
I just
little.
saw that. Yeah.
It's a 4x6 print made on this Canon selfie die sub printer. The quality's pretty good. It's good. It's okay. You can hold it in your hand. You can think about it as a print, but you wouldn't put it in a frame necessarily, right? And so this idea of wanting to share work and have stuff out in the world, well, this enables me to look at it and see it as a print and maybe do something with it. But then I would also want to be able to maybe share a higher resolution version of it. And so that's where there's this kind of hybrid model of lo-fi for myself, and maybe as mailings and things like that, and then hi-fi, high fidelity of maybe bigger images on the website and these blog posts and things like that, so that the online presence can be a manner of sharing what maybe the lower resolution version of
Mm.
it. But I don't like that word low res, so I think
Yeah.
lo-fi is much cooler. That's what I'm using. Yeah,
Yeah.
hi-fi, lo-fi.
Lo-fi.
Yeah.
Well, they
And so, I
Yeah.
plan the website. That's what I plan on doing. I'm even making a new section now that's like publications or books or whatever. And the idea is to be able to make little booklets with a saddle stapler and do stuff, and maybe include prints and things like that, and have that as a way of making objects and things that could go out into the world, but also follow it up with the PDF version or whatever on the website.
Yeah. Well, I think this move and being off grid and really thinking about resources has
Mhm.
changed your practice quite a bit.
Ab-
I
Oh,
mean, first of
absolutely.
all, you don't have a dark room,
Right.
and you're teaching with Anya on Strudel Media, and that is a purely online platform, correct?
Hmm.
And so it has moved you towards this idea of this the digital world, but rooted in sort of the analog world of photography at the same time, meaning the practice of black and white and what makes black and white what it is and interesting and uh, keeping its art form, but moving everything into the digital world, right? So
Hmm.
that was a big shift for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I think a lot of people will talk about when they bought theirs, like, oh, digital got good enough, and now I was able to switch over or whatever. Or they talk about yeah, they just talk about, oh, I didn't have the time or energy or whatever to use the darkroom anymore, so I switched to digital or all these sorts of things. But for me, it was more even almost existential than that. Like I really, when I had my darkroom running in Brooklyn, it was a big part of my whole life. Like I would literally walk through my darkroom at like 50 times a day, going back and forth around my apartment. And I thought about it, and I thought about photographing in those terms and thinking about that, the continuity of the history of photography and this whole idea. And of course, you and I share backgrounds and teachers and stuff, and the
Right.
sort of idea of like this is photography. You go out and you shoot film, and you come home and you process it in your darkroom, and you make contact sheets, and that whole workflow leads to certain results and all that. And so it wasn't just a matter like to, and also you mentioned making cameras,
Yeah.
uh, Tom Rome and I built six of these cameras. I have this amazing medium format camera, film camera. And so to embrace the digital side and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to use now going forward, to use this digital camera and use it to make the kind of photographs I was making. It felt like more than just a technical change. It felt like um, I mean, I would even say a betrayal of the
Oh,
way
I
that I
know.
was
I
thinking
know.
about how I
Yeah.
was going to be, uh, how
It's
I was going to identify as a
it's
photographer,
it's
right?
identity, it's personality, it's
Yeah,
behavior.
yeah,
Because you commit. This is what happens when you commit, and I'm not. That's a good thing. I mean, you commit, but then you also have to adjust. Yeah.
yeah. And the other part about it, I will say, there's two things that made me feel a little less guilty about moving away from printing in the darkroom and doing all this. And one of them was the fetishization of it. So at
There
a
is a lot of that.
certain point, it stopped being like, oh, this was the de facto way of doing it, to, oh, that was the old way of doing it. And then it became, oh, this is I'm cool, and I'm gonna fetishize every little scratch, and I'm gonna make sure I show that what film emulsion I'm using, and I'm gonna have, like all those tells of like, this is analog photography. And I was like, no, it's not analog photography. It was just photography. Like, why do we have to make it this new fetishized thing? So that was a turn off. And then the other thing was, when I built the studio, I unpacked all my boxes of work prints and all that stuff, and they're in a stack over here to my right. And out of curiosity, I went to B&H's website just to see how much these 50 sheets of 11 by 14 Ilford
Mm-hmm.
multigrade warm paper were going for. And at the time, like last month or a month and a half ago, it was $265 for a box of 50 sheets of 11 by 14 paper.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, today I looked yesterday in preparation for this conversation with you, and it's $200. So it's still $4 for a sheet of paper. Well,
Mm-hmm.
how are you going to work, how are you going to make contact sheets and make like work prints casually when you every time you're like, oh my God, I have to do a test strip. That's going to use one sheet of paper if I'm lucky, and then I'm going to, make work prints. That's another $4, $4, $4. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be restrictive. And so that's another thing. Like part of the other part of the lifestyle I didn't talk about for moving out here was the big plan was low overhead, right? Not paying those ridiculous Brooklyn rents, not having all this other stuff. And so uh, not having to work full time, being able to teach a couple classes, do some other stuff, and to survive on less money. So I couldn't afford to be buying boxes of paper for $200 for 50 sheets.
No, I know. It's and the prices have fluctuated quite a bit. And I have students who love shooting film, and I support that. And I
Mm,
still teach black and white photo one, and how to process color film and then scan it. Because we don't print color. But because I have a decent budget for my program, I'm able to buy supplies for my students,
mm,
and so
mm,
that's been a real help. It also lets them explore because we've talked about this for years. I became very anti-dogmatic when I started doing this show because I
mhm,
wanted to have all kinds of guests on the show, and I
mm,
wanted to be open to things, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't narrowing my own scope of what I think is a photography, and I wanted to broaden my ideas and definitions of that, and so um, I I've actually uh, I continue, I should say, to really practice a little bit of both. Like I did switch to digital for color
mhm,
when my experience with what was left of color film and chemicals was really bad.
mm,
I just wasn't getting good results. And full frame digital came out, and I did that. But recently, I think it's part of the enthusiasm of my students as well. I started shooting color negative again, and because
mm.
the new films are out and a few more options are out with processing it, I've been liking the results again. And and I just purchased an old Fuji 6x8 medium format camera because it matches my first medium format camera, which was a Crown Graphic with a Singer sewing back film back on it,
Oh, wow.
which was the original 2 1/4, 3 1/4. So
Mm,
6x8 is a close. So I just think what works for you works for you,
mhm.
and that's really what you should do. And so I'm I think as you get older, it becomes harder to stay open to things. And so this show and just my own practice is how I try to remain open. I think that makes me better at teaching photo as well.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I think teaching is a big part of what
that too.
helps
Yeah.
with all of that,
Yep.
obviously. Yeah, so I was teaching here in person at the Institute of American Indian Arts here
Oh
in
yeah,
Santa
that's right.
Fe.
I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that was fun because they have a dark room, and
Mm-hmm.
yes, they were just to have that experience. I think everyone needs to have that experience if they're going to spend time with photography of
Yeah.
loading the film in the camera, putting it in the reels, doing the agitation, pulling it out, and it's totally clear because you've screwed something up, and you're like, oh my God. And it's like the anxiety, right? I think that's useful to at least experience it at one point. But I really enjoyed teaching those black and white classes
Mm-hmm.
for them and seeing them have that experience and that joy of the chemical side of things. And yeah, I'm not writing it off entirely. It's just right now it doesn't make
That's
any
it.
sense. Yeah,
What makes sense right now. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And so I also play guitar, as we mentioned earlier
Yeah.
about the instrument, and different instruments bring out different things, right? And so for me, the thing that was made it possible to kind of embrace digital more was finding the right like set of tools and everything so that I could have a workflow that still um, that felt like for me like the gesture of taking a picture with the iPhone. Even if try to be careful and all of that, it doesn't really resonate in the same way. I need more controls. Maybe just because from our background, I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to set manually do things. I need that kind of engagement with the instrument. And so that I think was like trying to figure that out. And first I got a Sony boy, I don't even remember the numbers. It's great. I got a Sony full frame camera, but I was putting my old Leica lenses on it, so I was
Oh yeah, yeah,
manually
yeah,
focusing and using
yeah.
all the Leica mount lenses on it. And then this year, which seems like real heresy, I sold my Leica M4 to KEH to get the money from
Yes.
them to buy a Fujifilm X100F.
By
You
the way,
know,
I love those
fixed,
cameras. Love the
yeah,
X100s. Love them.
fixed
Yep.
lens,
Yep.
and I wanted something non-precious that I could just
Mm-hmm.
always yank and pull out the door and
Yeah.
throw in a bag or keep on the seat and whatever. And so a lot of the recent work has actually come from using that camera because it's there, but it also has the kind of stuff that I want. You know, I can control things in a way and make
Yeah.
make non-iPhone pictures with it. I'm not knocking the iPhone. Obviously, the iPhone is incredible. All that, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
No, I know. Yeah. I actually bought 20 of those X100s when they first came out for my students. And
Mm,
they were great. The problem is they don't hold up to student abuse
I
very
bet.
well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got
But I
I
do
have
love them.
I have cyclist friends. This guy in town who owns a bike shop, who is also an avid photographer, uses little Rolly, the little Rolly
Mm-hmm.
35. He shoots with that a lot.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he said, "Oh, I've had three X100 earlier models, and riding around on his bicycle, banging around,
Yeah.
the shutters kept breaking and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff."
Yep.
So I am, maybe I'm babying it a little bit, but I haven't broken it yet.
Oh, I
Knock
think
on
if
wood.
you're,
Yeah.
yeah, I think if you're a single user who's careful, you're okay.
Yeah, at least that's what I hope. Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
what I hope. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah,
Just thinking about New York and the time when you and I would run into each other at
yeah.
events and stuff like that. Like the one thing that has been missing moving out here, despite its reputation, a lot of Santa Fe art is also mired in the Southwest aesthetic of like,
Oh, right.
people wanting, cowboys on horses and cactus and all these sorts of things, right? So there's a lot of cheesy Southwestern art out here. It's not all like dynamic people being creative. But living in New York, you just stumbled upon it to see people at openings. It was much easier to keep your finger on the pulse of things. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
by doing the podcast, it keeps you engaged in it in a way that I wasn't out here for the most part. Like it sort of started to slip into the background. And I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about, how am I going to get the water from the roof to the sink and all
Yeah, you
that.
had much more immediate needs.
Yeah, other things on my mind. But one thing that has changed this fall is I took a job. There was
That's
an
what I was going to
opening.
mention. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
took a job at a place that hopefully a number of your viewers will know is called Photo Eye Books.
I think they
Very
will.
famous, yeah, very famous bookstore. And Rickson Reed, who started it in 1978 in Austin, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
moved here in 1991, and so the bookstore has been and gallery and everything else. It's been going for a long time, and I'm there now. They're only open 3 days a week at this point. Most of the business is online, but I'm there and just seeing all these new photo books come in and people who make pilgrimages to there. This guy, Roger May, I think you might know him. He's a West Virginia photographer, was just in, and
Mm-hmm.
he does a whole blog and everything. And so all these people come into the bookstore because they're like, oh, I've been following Photo Eye for years and I buy books for
Yes.
you. And so that's been really great to like for me to have that connection to what's going on, what's coming out, feeling like it's more active and more things are happening. And also going back to teaching, I have all my books that are in the cabin. I've got my ideas of the history of photography that's in there. When I need an example for something, I can think of
Mm-hmm.
someone that has it, but it's great to be exposed to someone new who's doing something in the same vein and to
Right.
pull that in and say like, okay, you know what, we don't have to look at, Elliot Irwin or whatever. We can look at so and so or whatever, someone who's still out there making pictures. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's also been really useful for me, is to be there at Photo Eye and to be involved in that process.
Yeah, and you're right. The podcast definitely has kept me in touch with and expanded my view of photography. But the other thing is,
Mm.
that you credited me for Strudel Media. I have to credit you for Sasha Wolf. You introduced
Ah,
me to Sasha Wolf, and I've been partnered with her for quite a while now, and it's a whole nother world. Where I learn and get inspired, and then from that, charcoal book club, which now I do the Chico review media. I'm a media partner. That's what it is. I always forget my title. But that has been a whole nother world, and especially with meeting photographers from really all around the world. So that's been fantastic. Yeah, but that's part of how you do it. You just keep expanding, and you keep staying open to meeting new people and trying new things, which clearly you have
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the good news about photography for everyone who says, oh, photography's dead and all these sorts of things.
For the last 40 years. But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Is well, as opposed to say, even though there is some commercial interest in photography, but it's not
Hmm.
to the same extent, for example, that's happening in music and film, I think. And whereas, I follow this YouTuber Rick Beato on YouTube, who's does music stuff, and he goes and does the top 10 on Spotify or whatever,
Hmm.
and it's all very corporate, slick, very uninteresting music that talking about this idea of trying to renew your interests in something. And as a musician, I think you'd be, you if you're looking at the top the pop chart or whatever, it's going to be hard to be inspired unless
Hmm.
you want to go that slick or whatever. But I think in photography, there's still things to find. There's still people doing interesting stuff, and the people maybe who are more interested in doing just slick things that aren't all that interesting, well, they were handed a big help with AI, right? So now they can just
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
type in a prompt and get the slick thing they want. They don't have to go out and stub their toe while they're walking around with their camera in the rain or whatever.
Hmm. No,
And so
we're
I think there's more
yeah.
more to find. Yeah, I think I'm still excited about photography. I mean, of course, there's lots of crap out there, and there's lots of uninteresting books coming out, and all that stuff is still true. But and the fetishization of the film side, I think there's still that core impulse that means
Hmm.
people will be going out and making pictures and responding to what's in front of them. And so
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
excited
Yeah.
about that part.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've been ending the show with some lightning round questions, and I
Oh,
thought I
okay,
would ask you.
okay.
So I
Uh-oh.
I have to
So these are, and
apologize.
I can't prepare.
I know I normally send these a day ahead. I totally
Nice,
forgot. So this is going to be really
nice.
fresh.
Okay, all right, I'm
You're
ready.
a knowledgeable person. I have confidence that you're in you.
Oh boy, thanks.
A historical photographer you wish you could have photographed with could still be alive, but maybe out of reach, or someone who you wouldn't be able to contact.
Hmm. Well, I did. This is a photographer I did know, and even got to see months before he died, but I never got to go out and photograph with, and I would have definitely have enjoyed it, which was Henry Wessel.
Oh yeah,
I would have
yeah,
loved
yeah,
to have been
yeah.
able to go out and photograph with Henry Wessel. Since moving out here, I've met a couple of people who either um, were students of his or more they were like friends of his from San
Hmm.
Francisco, and they have some stories of like being out with Hank and photographing, and I think that would have been really amazing just to I mean
Absolutely.
he was fun to hang out with, so I can imagine going out and photographing with him would have been just as fun.
Yeah, yeah. I never met him. I wish I had. And, yeah, that would
Ah,
have been
shoot.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. Now
Yeah,
a
the very
oh,
last, oh sorry, the very
go
last
ahead.
time I
Yeah.
saw him, he was signing books at the upstairs at the Strand. He had a new book that was at, and for some reason I read the time wrong. I thought it was going to be like 7 to 9 or whatever. I don't know why. Anyways, it was 5 to 7. So I got
Oh,
there at
the
7,
end.
and everyone was gone except for Henry was there and the person from the Strand, and they were finishing up signing
Mm,
books. And so he signed my book, and he inscribed it and all that stuff. And we went out to the street together, and he was going uptown, I was going downtown or something. So we were separated, and I was like, and I just had a great to see you, and kind of like last minute, shake hands and see you next time you're
hmm.
in town kind of thing. And then unfortunately he passed away like, I don't know,
Wow.
4 months, 5 months later. So yeah, I was really lucky. I got to see him like have that connection one more time before he left.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
So that's lightning round question number one. Okay,
Yeah.
phew, did it. Okay.
A contemporary photographer who you haven't or and would like to photograph with.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a little bit tough for somebody especially that I think some of the contemporary photographers that I know or that I know their work. I don't know what their process is, so I'm not sure that I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, I would want to go out and photograph with them. A book that I did just see to go with this idea of like, photo books and how
Yeah.
those tie into things. And again, I'm not sure what it would be like to photograph with this person, but they have a new book out called Invisible Sun,
Oh,
and
yes.
Amani Willett.
Amani Willett. I just had him on the
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Phew. Okay, good.
I love
Well,
Amani. Yes.
I don't know anything about Amani Willett except for I saw this book. I never heard of the book. I opened it up and I saw,
Hmm.
and I'm like, oh wow, that book is so beautifully sequenced and
Yes.
thoughtfully done and becomes a new thing, right? It's
It
like
that's
it's
exactly what
more
we
than the
talked
sum
about.
of its parts. Okay, well there you go.
Exactly.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Amani's all of Amani's books become that. He's just
Mm,
a fantastic creative person. His books are the new thing. Right.
mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
All
that's
right.
great. Yeah, but it's true in terms of the process because it is a very long process and it's a mix of research and photography.
Mm.
Yeah, it would. I don't know what a day with Amani would be like. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know.
that's
Yeah.
great. But he's fantastic and he teaches too. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So I think you and I have been photographing long enough where I wouldn't expect to necessarily go out and photograph with any contemporary
Right.
photographer and like learn something new about the process
No,
or
it'd be maybe
whatever.
just a
But
nice hangout. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
think it'd be
Yeah.
more like that. Like
Yep.
for someone who
Absolutely.
works that way, and again, I don't
Yes.
know if, yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, favorite piece of equipment you use, photographic or otherwise, but related
Hmm.
to your practice.
Hmm. Um, I would have to say this is a funny one, but it's sitting behind me. I don't know
Yeah.
if you'll be able to make it out,
Yes.
but that's a 1940s Underwood typewriter. And I find it very useful for writing. So I not only do I write letters to friends and stuff like that, but I also use it for keeping a journal. And I used to do that just in bound books that were bound
I
ahead of time that I
remember.
would that I would write in. And I have like many volumes of those. But now I've taken to doing it with the typewriter and loose leaf that I then bind with a comb binding machine afterwards.
Hmm.
And and going back to this idea of like analog versus digital or whatever, it's this idea of an instrument and the way the tool can affect you. Like it's a feedback mechanism to you. And a typewriter, especially an old one that doesn't, you can't just like correct automatically and all that kind of stuff. You're just, typing away. Well, sometimes you make a mistake and that's fine. You just go back, exit out or whatever. But sometimes you think you know what sentence you're typing, but then you press one wrong key and you look down and you go, well, I was going to write the word, bound or something with a B, but I hit S instead. So now I'm going to change this whole sentence to go somewhere else just because of that letter or whatever. It's a feedback mechanism and it changes the way you write. And I plan on, I'm one of the, going back to this blog idea and using the website. I like this. There's a number of websites in the typewriter sphere where they just photograph the page and then they
Hmm.
put that up on a website. I think with some OCR so you can find it,
Oh,
search
okay.
by it,
Do some searching. Yeah, yeah.
searching. So it's not just an image, but so I'm working on a book to send out a booklet to send out with my yearly print that I send out. You'll be getting one, Michael, and
Thank you. But mine is
and so
late.
yeah. So yeah, most of them are late this year for
Yeah.
whatever reason. But so I've just been typing up. I've been typing up sections that will fit inside this little
Oh,
booklet,
nice.
and I'm gonna like collage them in and rephotograph them and all sorts of stuff. But I like this idea of like bringing something about the mechanical typewriter coming back in and as a form. Again, it's related to being off grid. So if you've ever had a laser printer, like even a little brother laser printer, and you notice when you hit print how the lights dim in the room, those printers use a lot of power, and so it's not
Right.
so off grid friendly. And so
Hmm.
I write a lot of letters and do a lot of things just on the
Yeah.
typewriter.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that is my unexpected
That
piece
is
of
a
equipment.
good answer.
Thanks.
All right. Favorite food or type of place to eat when you take a break from photographing?
Mm, mhm. Well, I will say that coming from New York to Santa Fe, that if there's one thing that went down in quality was places to go out and eat, which,
Yeah.
given the price of the things these days, is probably not so bad because,
Oh,
it's so
what, you don't
expensive
want
to
the
go out.
$17 burger?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. So there's a place in town called Bumblebees that's basically a burrito place, and
Mm-hmm.
you can go there and get a burrito for not that much money, and it's huge and it will fill you up so you don't even want dinner.
Nice.
And that's the perfect kind of spot to swing into when you're here, is to get that like really all filling burrito. But on the other hand, when you're out photographing, it's also the kind of thing where it's fun to just snack along the way and like
Mm-hmm.
stop in places and not to really have the full meal, to just like let the work propel you along or something. So
Mm.
I also like that idea of just like, I don't
Yeah.
need, I'm not as hungry because I'm being fed by something else, right?
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, Kai, this has been fantastic. Do a little
Yeah,
catch
good to
up,
hear. Yeah,
little
good to see you,
end of the
Michael.
year, and happy new year.
Thank you.
Let's hope.
And I, like I said, you will. Yeah, I know. You will be getting this in the mail
Thank you. You'll be
sometime at
getting
the
your
beginning
card. Yeah.
in
I made
January.
it a New Year's card. Yes.
That's right. It's an easy out.
Oh, this is great. Well, give my love to Corn.
I will.
Yep.
And
Thank you.
take care of yourself. And
Yeah.
hope to see you in person at some point.
Yeah. That we have to figure out. I mean, I say it every time. I want to come to Santa Fe because I do love it there. Yes.
Yeah, come on out.
That'd be a nicer visit, I think, than you coming to Jersey. Although I love
Yeah.
Jersey, but
Nice. Yeah,
all
that's a
right.
good thing. Good one to
That's
end on.
that's right. I'll talk to you soon.
All
All
right.
right. Bye.
Bye.
Real Photo Show is produced by me, Michael Chovan-Dalton. Music by Matteo Chovan-Dalton and Jim Raimundo. If you like the show, please rate and review with all the stars on your listening platform.